Hello everyone, thank you so much for stopping by today. Today I want to share with you guys my TBR update for books that I've read in the month of July and August. My Christian reads. I didn't get to come by and do my July update. Things just got a little bit busy, so I decided to go ahead and combine July and August and then see what books I may have left over and address those in the month of September, because that's when I'm calling summer's over. Anyways, guys, let's go ahead and get started. The books that I had on my list were Chosen, which I read in the month of June. I had Finding Favor with Tommy Teeny, which I also read in the month of June. I had Live, Love, Lead, and that one's by Brian Houston. And I did read that book this month, and I really enjoyed it. I did a review with my girlfriend Sherry that I will link up above if it's already up. If it isn't, then please take a look at it later as you're watching this TBR. You'll see it come up during the next month. Last year I went to see Hillsong. They came to perform here in Orlando, and as part of the concert they gave out the book Live, Love, Lead by Brian Houston, and he actually preached on the book, on his experiences. And so it took me a little bit to get to it, but I did get to it last month. I absolutely enjoyed it. Did I love it? No, but I really did enjoy it. I love Hillsong. I love their music. I'm not a very musical person, but I can absolutely tell you that they're one of the groups that I absolutely enjoy in the Christian music. I really do enjoy them. And so I loved hearing Brian Houston's history, and I absolutely recommend the book. So the next book on my list would be Audacious, which I already reviewed in the month of June, and Believe in Jesus as well by Lisa Harper. So then I read Looking for Lovely by Annie Downs, and I had never really heard of Annie Downs, and I read that in the month of July as well. It's also a book that is based on Annie's life experiences, and she shares a lot of her personal testimonies of growing with Christ. It is based on Philippians 4:8, and her take that during her life she's had to learn to look for what is lovely, to focus her spiritual eyes on what is true, on what is good, in order to be able to overcome some things in her life and in order to grow in her walk with Christ. Her writing style is very down to earth, speaks to you as if she was your girlfriend sitting right next to you. Is it a book that I think every person should read? No, but it is a book that if you're going through a sad time in your life, or if you need some encouragement, I really do think that it is a good book. Like I told you guys before, I'm a social worker by trade, and I did counseling for a little bit. And one of the things in my life is that I guess I'm a bit of a voyeurist, but I always like to see how God works in people's lives, especially when they've had to overcome some major emotional issues. And that is the case with Annie Downs. And I really enjoyed her candor, her transparency, and I think that it will definitely speak to young people that are going through some difficult things in their life. It is worthy read. Is it necessary? No. But is it enjoyable? Absolutely. Is it a light read? Yes. It isn't a book that's going to weigh you down and make you feel like you're carrying on the world's pressures. No. But it is a good read. The next one I had was The Dangerous Duty of the Life by John Piper, and I did read that, I think it was in the month of June. And then Unashamed by Caine, which I also read in the month of June. So the next book that I had on my list was Face to Face with God by Bill Johnson, and he is with Bethel Church, and I had never read a book by him, but my friend Sherry really enjoys him, so I decided to go ahead and give it a go. I did enjoy this book. I do think it absolutely encouraged me in my walk. I think it allowed me to seeing God is so powerful in particular areas of my life. I think the thing that I got most out of this book is that he's able to do immeasurably more than I can think or imagine, Ephesians 3:20, and that the only thing that's limiting God in my life is the fact that I'm limiting God by not speaking to it, whatever it is, the way God sees it, or as God would desire it, you know. And so I did enjoy the book. I would definitely read some more books by Bill Johnson, and it was very enjoyable. I think that it wasn't that long of a book, and I think that it would absolutely help and encourage you in your walk, especially if you are having trouble with relating to God and his presence in your life. You know, sometimes we can actually think of God, you know, in the big concept. We can definitely believe in God, that he's there, he's always with me, he'll never leave me or forsake me. But then the truth is we live our lives as if he isn't. So That's what this book does. It really emphasizes on being aware of God's presence in your life and actually agreeing with him in your life. So it was a really good book, and I did enjoy it. The last book that I actually had in my TBR for my Christian edition would have been Undaunted by Caine, and I also did read Undaunted in the month of, I think it was the beginning of August. Undaunted is, I did Unashamed earlier, I did that one in June, but Undaunted is more of her individual biography or history and how she came to lead the ministry that she does and the life experiences she's had in her life. Also, her love for her ministry, for A21 Ministries, which goes around the world freeing women and, you know, freeing people from sexual slavery. I love Caine, and I love her passion for Christ, and I love the way that she's just such a doer. She goes out there and she just puts herself out there to help those that so desperately need helping. It was a really good book. I loved learning a little bit more about her, and I definitely do recommend it. I have read several other books that I wanted to share with you guys. The next few books would be more fiction, and I think they were more fiction. Yeah, I read a couple by Melanie Dickerson. Her books are also fantasy, and they're also they're Christian fiction. She's a Christian fiction author, and they're also historical books. These books, what I would like to say about these books is that they're like a spin on traditional fairy tales. Like the first one I read, which was The Fairest Beauty, is loosely based on Snow White's story, but it is a Christian story. I thought the book was okay. As I initially went into, I love fantasy books, and I love historical fiction, and you know what? I love fairy tales. And so as I went into this book, I was pretty excited because I just was really excited to find an author that did that kind of writing that was Christian, because most of those books traditionally are mainstream that I read. And it was just really exciting me to find Melanie Dickerson. I found her to be entertaining. I found her books, they weren't boring, but at least the two that I've read, I almost found that they were lacking a little something. Now, that being said, they were very much based on scripture. And so, how do I say this? It was a book that you could read. It wasn't boring. I wasn't bored, but I wasn't enthralled, and I wasn't, wanting to come back for more. It just left me a little bit. There was lacking something. That being said, I only read two. I read The Fairest Beauty, which would be the retelling or the spin on Snow White, and then the second one was The Healer's Apprentice, and that one is a retelling, or a loosely based retelling, of Sleeping Beauty. In that one, I had a harder time actually making the connection, which was the fairy tale that it was retelling. I thought of the two, the better was The Healer's Apprentice. I like that storyline better. But it might just be an individual preference because of the way that it was written. It is a fantasy book. It is also a YA book, and so there are parts of it, and some of them where I was like, I'm not sure that for a Christian book that should be a YA. But that's my opinion, and I realized that it may not be the mainstream opinion. They weren't bad. They were just not what I was expecting. Maybe that's what I'm wanting to say. Am I going to read? I'm going to try to read several more so I can give you guys a better opinion, because there's a reason why she's so popular, I think, in the Christian reading. Lastly, I tried to read Infidel by Dekker, which would be the second book in the Elion series, and it's also a YA, and it's also a fantastical book. I couldn't get past, like, I think chapter 3, maybe 4. I tried. I think I'm just gonna kind of shelf that for a little bit and maybe come back and revisit it. It just may be that at this moment it isn't, just tickling my fancy. It just isn't catching me. So I'm not saying that it was a bad book. It was just not, it didn't capture me. And so a lot of times when I'm going into that kind of fantasy, sci-fi kind of world, I almost need it to capture me maybe by chapter 5. And I felt like I just was having trouble getting into it. That doesn't mean that I won't come back and finish the series at another time, but right now I've put it aside because I had some other books that I really wanted to read. So guys, those were the books that I read in my Christian TBR and some extras. For the next month, I can guarantee you that I'll be reading Rooted by Banning Leibscher. I know that he is with Jesus Culture. And then the next one that I'm going to read is by Terry Blackstock, and it's If I Run. Those are the two so far that I've got in my queue that are getting ready to be read. And so I'll let y'all know what I do end up reading for the end of August, and for the month of September. That would be the end of the summer for me. So guys, thank you so much for stopping by and taking a few minutes to listen to what I've read. I'm so grateful that you guys stopped by to visit. If you've read any good books that you want to recommend or that you think I need to take a look at, please list them down below. I'm always looking for the next great read. That's, I love books. I hope you guys have a great day, and thank you once more, and be blessed, guys. Bye.